And I remember as I was beating my eggplant in my room, just thinking I was home alone and that no one was gonna bug me. Out of nowhere, I ended up hearing something down the hallway, but I thought that was impossible because no one was home, until my mom ends up walking into my room as my eggplant was out, and she looks at me saying, "Bubba, what is that? My flashlight?" Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another embarrassing but crazy story. Now, this story all takes place back when I was in high school, and this was actually back in my grade 12 year. Now, my grade 12 year was my grad year, and honestly, during grad, I will say it led to a lot of stress going through my bones. No joke, I think I was the most stressed that time, to the point where I think I was actually balding. Well, not actually, but you guys know what I mean. I was really stressed out, and honestly, I remember one of the things that would always help me relieve stress was basically doing the Devil's Tango. Because I would put my energy into something else and all my stamina and rage into a different hole in life. I guess I could say that. I don't really know. It sounds kind of crazy, but I did a lot of the Devil's Tango to get over it. And I remember there was one time back in my grade 12 year where we had one of the biggest test exams ever. I literally remember walking into my math class, and no joke, I sat down, and that's when my physics teacher ends up saying, "Okay, class, you guys have your final exam coming up, and this exam is worth 80% of your grade. So yeah, just keep up and don't slow down." At that point, when I heard 80% of my grade, I was in total shock. I don't know why teachers do this, but making a test worth 80% of your grade is crazy. So I remember me stressing out and just totally freaking out. I remember I went home that day and I just started studying. Knowing that this test was in 3 days was insane to me. So I remember the first day, I ended up sitting at home. I was playing video games, but at the same time, on my other screen that I had, I would just be looking at my physics papers and trying to remember as much as I could. One of the funny things I would actually try doing, and some of you guys could try this at home if you want, but I'm no tutor, so don't ever, listen to me, to be fair. But one of the things I would do is I would study a paper, then afterwards I would play video games for a couple rounds of Call of Duty Team Deathmatch, and then I would go right back to my paper and see if I remembered most of it. If I didn't remember any of it, then I had to read it again until I fully got it into my brain. Because if even after video games I still remember my physics paper, there's no way I'm not gonna remember during the test. So I remember I kept doing this back and forth, and it actually led me to stressing out because one of my homies that were in the same class as me ends up calling me on Xbox, and we end up getting into an Xbox Live party chat, and he tells me, "Yo, Baba, did you study for the physics paper?" I'm actually doing it right now as we speak." "Wait, what? Dude, you're playing Call of Duty." "Yeah, but I have this thing. Just don't worry about it." "Okay, well, I'm totally ready for it. Honestly, I think this physics test is gonna be super easy." I remember when he said that, I was so just confused on how he could say that, knowing that's worth 80% of our grade. But honestly, I didn't care. I ended up just basically ignoring him as he would speak, and honestly, it got to the point where I actually muted him in the party just so I can make sure I remembered everything throughout my physics paper, because I already had to remember playing Call of Duty and doing the paper, so I might as well just ignore one of the three. But going on, I remember after studying for I want to say 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, I would say, I ended up laying down in bed, and I remember as I'm laying down, I'm just thinking to my head bro, am I actually gonna pass this? Is this even possible? And I knew deep down that something was gonna go wrong, something severely. You see, I have this thing where basically when I actually go up to a test and sit down and actually start doing the test, my brain just blanks out. I don't know how many people have this condition. I don't know what it's called, but if you guys do know what I'm talking about, comment it down below. Because seriously, every time I would sit and get ready to do any test, from driver's license test to a normal just paper test at school, I just tend to blank out and totally forget everything that I learned. But going on with the story, I remember as I was laying down, the next day when I finally woke up, I remember I only got 2 hours of sleep. And when I got to school that day, I remember my teacher, that was my physics teacher, ends up walking up to me in the middle of the hallway. He walks up to me saying, "Hey, Bubba, can I talk to you for a second in the classroom?" Yeah, sure. I end up walking inside this classroom, and he looks at me and says, "Listen, Bubba, I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually worried for you when it comes to this physics test. I feel like you are not prepared for it, and I don't know if you're preparing enough for it. So I'm gonna host after school practices for not just you, but many other students where you guys can participate and learn together." "Oh, okay, well, I'm down for that, sure." "Okay, perfect. So after school today, I'll see you, right?" Yeah, you should," is what I told him. And then I ended up walking out of there. At that moment, I started to feel a lot worse, knowing that my own physics teacher didn't have faith in me. I didn't know what to think or what to say. So that day after school, I ended up going into the physics classroom, and you know what was the worst part? As I was sitting there and he was, helping a bunch of students practice for the physics test, I felt like I was just blanking out right then and there. At that moment, I thought that I wasn't able to do anything. I felt just dumb. I felt numb. I felt silly being in that classroom. If anything, I felt like my method of studying worked way better than whatever he was doing. But at the same time, I went through the class, and when I got home, home that day, I remember I ended up just laying down on my bed thinking, honestly, I have a lot of stress in me. I just need to let it go. So that's when I remember I ended up basically like, messaging one of the chicks that were my sneaky links back when I was in grade 12. And I messaged her saying, yo, like, you down to come over? Oh, yeah, sure. I don't see why not. What time? Oh, like maybe like 2 or 3 hours. Oh, well, I have like this family thing, but I'll see if I can make it. Okay, perfect. Just like, let me know is what I texted her. And afterwards, I ended up going back to playing video games. After like 3 to 4 hours go by, I ended up texting this girl again saying, yo, like, you still coming over? Question mark. Oh, honestly, I don't think I can make it, Bubba, is what she tells me. And I ended up kind of getting annoyed because like getting denied by a sneaky link and also having a bunch of stress from this physics test was really getting to me. So what was the next best thing I did? Well, what any other teenage hormoned guy would do. I ended up laying on my bed, getting the lube out, getting the tissues out, and I basically prepare to beat my eggplant. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even gonna be shy about it. I said a lot crazier things on this channel, to be fair, but I was basically preparing for it. But that's when my mom ends up coming downstairs. Now, you guys are probably thinking, oh, is this when she walks in on you? No. She walks into my room, and I didn't whip out my eggplant yet, to be fully fair. Like, I was about to, but I didn't. And she just sees me laying in bed, and she says, oh, Bubba, are you feeling all right? Yeah, I'm fine. What's up? I was just gonna take a nap. Okay, well, me and your dad are leaving, and no one's gonna be home. Are you gonna be okay for dinner? Yeah, Mom, I'll be totally okay. Okay, good. I will talk to you later. At that point, my mom goes upstairs, and right as I hear the front door shut, and my parents leave the driveway, that's when I whip out my eggplant, and I start going ham. Okay, no joke. I'm going on the Devil's Hub, and I'm just searching up everything I can to basically relieve all my stress. And knowing how much stress I had built up, no joke, I was beating my thing for a while. And that's when I realized half an hour goes by, and I'm still bricked. And I remember I have my headphones on, I'm watching this Devil's Hub video. And as I'm watching it, I'm not gonna lie, I usually skip the intro, but this one was actually interesting. Like, I had a really cool build up to it, so I was watching it. And as I'm holding my eggplant, I end up hearing something down the hallway. Now, I thought it was like something in my mind or something that like, was a part of the Devil's Hub film I was watching. But as I'm just laying there, I remember I end up continue watching. And when it finally got to the good part, I start beating my eggplant, and boom, I see my mom hovering over me saying, Bubba, what is that? Mom! At that moment, I start covering myself up and I'm freaking out. And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing here? I brought you sushi. Me and your father went for sushi. What are you doing, Bubba? Mom, I'm under a lot of stress and I'm pressure and Mom, don't you knock? Bubba, I did 3 times. You didn't answer. But Mom, like I'm in the middle of something. What are you doing? Mom, what do you mean? What am I doing? Just get out. At that moment, my mom just like drops the food and just like leaves my room. And I start panicking and I start getting nervous because my mom saw my eggplant after like almost like 7 years of not seeing it. I know it sounds really insane, but you gotta understand my mom has walked in on me before, but not in my full form, as like an almost adult, which is a grade 12 student in my opinion. And yeah, honestly, it was really awkward eating that sushi knowing that my mom saw my eggplant because of this sushi, but I ate it anyways. And I'm not gonna lie, the next day during my physics test, I flunked it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I failed physics that day. It was actually really depressing, but honestly, my mom wasn't upset about it because she knew I was under a lot of stress to the point where I was beating my eggplant. But anyways, guys, if you guys don't believe the story is true, then follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.